time for another Dirt Daily, and today we're going to talk about jacks. The jacks that you use to lift a vehicle when you're off-roading, or maybe not off-roading, maybe when you're on the road. But there's a lot of different types of jacks, there's a lot of different styles of jacks, and I have a brand new jack that I want to show you, but I thought it'd be cool to kind of talk about a lot of the different options in the off-road industry. Let me show you what I got. Let's start with the old standby, the high lift jack. People either love the high lift jack or they hate the high lift jack. Some people just love to hate the high lift jack. I don't think the high lift jack is as bad as a lot of people will tell you it is. In fact, it's pretty good because the jack can lift from 4.5 inches off the ground all the way up well, to at least that high, and even higher if you can get it jacked up. Now, the thing about the high lift, it's a little tricky. You have to pull this cam lever up, and then you start jacking, and it goes up, and sometimes it gets like a little finicky, and if you're not careful, this can start ratcheting really fast, and it can knock you in the head. And it can be dangerous. I'm not saying that it is always dangerous, but I mean, it's like anything. If you use it wrong or you're not careful, you could get hurt. But you're also like lifting a heavy vehicle off the ground. And some of the problems of the high lift jack is that it doesn't actually get underneath the axle itself. You could lift at a bumper, you could lift at a rock slider. You do have to kind of be conscious of when you're lifting, where is the rest of this? Like, is it leaning up against your door? It can dent doors. There are apparatuses you can put on this to actually hook onto the wheel and lift the vehicle by the wheel, which is great if you're, say, stuck and you need to like jack the wheel up and stuff rocks or branches or whatever underneath it to get unstuck. It doesn't really help you if you need to change the tire, which is a whole nother thing. Like, some people don't even bring a jack. In fact, there's people that don't even bring a spare tire anymore, which I get it. It's heavy, and which is the high lift is also heavy. But there's times where not having a tire, not having a wheel is great because you're just rock crawling or you're close to your trailer or your tow rig or whatever. But I think it's important to bring a spare tire and a spare wheel, because I have had lug nuts come loose, wallow out the wheel, like basically ruin the wheel. And if I did not have a spare tire and wheel, I would have had a problem of not being able to swap it on. Now, you could say that's my fault because the lug nuts came loose. But I mean, I was just four-wheeling and things came loose. So should you just carry a plug kit and a sidewall patch kit and an air compressor and not bring a spare tire and a spare wheel? That's kind of up to you. I think it's nice to have the security of a spare tire and a spare wheel, but I 100% understand if you don't want to do it because you're like, that's a lot of extra weight that I have to carry up the trail and I don't need that stuff. To each his own, which is kind of the same with the jacks. Like, some people will swear by the high lift jack and they will take it with them everywhere. Other people will be like, that's way too big and heavy and it's not easy to use and I don't want it around. High lift jack right off the bat, this is about $100, maybe $120. And this is the classic. This is kind of the standard that people have been using forever in their 4x4s. I have one of these in a lot of my vehicles, but I don't have one in every vehicle. And it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Like, there's things it does. You can also use it as a winch. Like, you can hook one end up like a chain or something up to one part of the jack and hook the other end up to the vehicle, and you can ratchet the vehicle out of a stuck situation. It will probably take a very long time, but you can do it. So high lift jack, old standby, not bad, not great, but I would never say that this is a terrible jack. Some people will. They'll argue all day long they don't like them, but I don't think they're that bad. Going down the avenue of something smaller and lighter, in this Jeep, I carry a 20-ton Big Red hydraulic bottle jack. And this thing is great for packing. Like, it stuffs right in this little corner and it fits really good. You know what it doesn't do? It doesn't lift the vehicle off the ground. It's kind of dumb that I carry this thing. Like, it will, like, with this part screwed out and then the cylinder jacked all the way up, it's only about 12 inches. And that doesn't even get the differential off the ground when it has tires on it. Now, if you have a flat tire, you could get underneath it and jack it up. But the problem is that you're going to be digging a hole underneath where the tire goes so you can get the nice new tire on. So why do I carry this one? I don't know. It's probably dumb that I carry it, but I figured it was better to have a jack than no jack, and it was small and it fit in the back of the Jeep nice and easy. But I probably shouldn't put it back in there because it's really, I mean, you could use it in situations, but you would either have to stack stuff underneath it, or it's just kind of silly. But I have it, and I've always had it in this Jeep for some reason. Now, on that note, you can get stuff like this. Like, this is from Jeep. It's actually labeled Jeep. And the idea is that this goes underneath your factory Wrangler scissor jack. And you can put this underneath your factory scissor jack, and it basically raises the scissor jack about 4.5 inches so that if your vehicle is lifted and you're on bigger tires, you could use this underneath your factory jack to lift the vehicle off the ground. This is kind of a cool thing. I want to say American Expedition Vehicles came up with this idea first, but I do know that you can get this from Jeep Mopar. And it fits right in the cubby of your new JL and probably JK. So if you're using, and the factory scissor jacks, that's kind of one of the problems, is they're not usually tall enough when you have bigger tires on, because you want to get the jack underneath the axle to lift the axle up so you can swap the tires. Unless you're that guy who doesn't run a spare tire, he just has a plug kit and an air compressor and a sidewall patch kit, which is fine. Like I said, it's all up to you. Now, there's another jack that I don't have one here, but it's pretty popular these days. It's from a guy named Brennan. He has a website, Brennan's Garage, and he takes a trailer jack and he has a modification kit. You buy this kit. The kit, I think, is $115. The trailer jacks are $60 to $85, depending on where you find one and which one you get. And you basically weld this stuff to the trailer jack to make it stronger. And it's much like a high lift jack, but instead of having like a ratcheting arm, it has a crank. And so you crank this and it lifts it up so you can put it underneath a bumper or a rock slider and lift up a vehicle. You could probably do the same to a wheel if you had the right hooks and everything to attach to the wheel. So that's another option. Another jack that I have used, I don't have one here right now, is ARB's Hydraulic Jack. This is another example of kind of a replacement to a high lift jack, where it's a tall jack. It has like an arm that drops down to reach underneath a bumper or a rock slider, and it uses a hydraulic setup to jack it up. It's really nice, also very expensive. It's $980. which is on the ARB website. So, but pretty trick. I have one in one of my trucks. I don't actually have it here right now. I have used it in the past. I don't use it that often, but it is a really nice made jack. And pretty expensive. I know that there's some off-road race guys that have used them. I don't know what is the best option for off-road racing. It seems like the race guys are constantly changing stuff up. I've even seen race cars that have like a cylinder mounted on the car. So if they get a flat tire, they push a button and the cylinder extends and it lifts the whole car up. And then when they're done, they push a button and it all retracts, which is kind of trick. Speaking of racing, this is an off-road floor jack from a company called Pro Eagle. They've been around a while, and in fact, they've been around long enough that there are other companies already knocking them off. And it's pretty ingenious. It's your basic floor jack, but it has much bigger tires. So if you have to jack up a vehicle out in the dirt or in the gravel, this rolls much easier and it allows you to jack them up. Plus there is an extension piece that comes along inside here, and that can lock into there, and you can pull out this pin and raise that up. So say you have something that's on really big tires or even portal axles, this is a great way to jack that type of vehicle up. I have actually had this on an off-road rig, and I see people that take it on the trail. To me, it's a bit much for a trail jack, but that's just me. Like I said, everybody has their own opinion. I think if you're, say, desert racing, or maybe you set up camp and you go four-wheeling and you come back to camp, like this is a perfect jack to have on your trailer or on your tow rig or maybe on your chase truck. I think on your actual wheeling rig, it's kind of a lot. It's big, it's kind of heavy, it takes up a lot of space. You can take all of this apart and kind of package it, and there's actually brackets out there that people have made to mount it. I don't think this is the jack that I'm gonna take four-wheeling. But when I have to go outside of the shop, out in the gravel, out back, and lift a truck, change tires, this is the jack that I grab because it's easy to move around. It does not have steer axles in the back. Like when I use a floor jack in my shop, I'm constantly jacking it up and then pivoting it side to side to move a truck left or right. The Pro Eagle does not do that. I think there may be a knockoff that has added the swivel wheels in the back. I'm not really sure who that is, but I think I have seen it somewhere. But overall, great jack for certain situations, and definitely bigger and heavier than a lot of the jacks that we're talking about here. These are about $300 to $600 depending on what size you get. I think they have some really low profile ones for like smaller vehicles and just different setups. This one that I have is a 3-ton. I've had it for a really long time. It still works great. It's just maybe not the thing that I would strap on the back of a Jeep or Suzuki Samurai. If you have a full-size truck and you like to take everything with you wheeling, here you go. This is a floor jack. Though I think if you had to jack up a vehicle on like kind of precarious or rocky terrain, this might be a little bit more difficult than it's worth. But great on your trailer or on your tow rig. Alrighty. This is the jack that I wanted to tell you about. This is something that I have not seen before, and it was actually sent to me by the guys at OK Four-Wheel Drive back east, and it's pretty neat. In fact, I'm gonna read a description of it, which is, well, here, let me just read it. It comes with a 360-degree adaptive balanced fulcrum base, as well as a large plastic base, which makes it ideal for off-road use with varying terrain. So this is the large plastic base. I'm not 100% sure what they mean by a 360-degree adaptive balance fulcrum base, but we'll get to that. Comes coated with wheel hooks, which allow jacking up the wheel on vehicles that don't have proper jack points, which is like those parts that the high lift is available with, which is this. You can hook these onto the outside of the wheel, and then this goes onto the jack. The jack is made from aluminum, steel, and stainless steel for extreme durability and weight savings, and all steel components are powder coated and all aluminum components are anodized. It has a vacuum oil pressure system and is workable to minus 40 degrees. The jack features telescopic 2-stage ram with adjustable height top. All right, so what is this magic thing? This is the PMP multi-purpose jack. And the guys at OK Four-Wheel Drive sent it to me, and they did not ask me to make a video of it. They did not ask for a review of it. All they asked was, let me know what you think. And it showed up, and I was like, okay. I'm told it is German designed. It's a German brand. It says right here, German brand, patent design. I do believe it's made overseas. It's an imported product. But this is what is the main component. But there's other parts to it. There's this, which I believe is what they mean when they say 360-degree adaptive balance fulcrum base. Because this goes on the bottom of the bottle jack, and this bottom part is kind of flexible. Not a lot, but there is some flex there. So, like say the ground is not perfectly flat underneath the axle, or the axle is not perfectly parallel to the ground, this has a little bit of flexibility. And then this base kind of sits right in the middle of the plastic base. And it also has a threaded top on it right here, so that screws into the bottom of this. So instead of just being a bottle jack that is this height, you can now add this foot to the bottom, or the adaptive balance fulcrum base, whatever you want to call it. And now you have a much taller bottle jack. It works just like a normal bottle jack. There's two rods here that snap together, and you slide that in here, and then this part starts jacking up. And then, to make it even better, there's this extension that goes on the top, and this extension has holes in it all the way down. And then there's this pin, which is on kind of this spring-loaded lanyard thing, and that allows you to raise this up and down. So you can use this like a high lift jack, where it has this kind of tall lifting setup. So like you could put it underneath the bumper or the rock slider of a vehicle, but it works like a bottle jack. Instead of having all the ratcheting of the high lift jack, this just is the jacking. So, and this top part can turn. It's not locked in one exact direction. So if it's depending on how the bumper's set up, or the tube work on the side of your vehicle, or the side steps, this moves around. Plus the whole thing can move around. So if it's kind of on a hill or whatever, and then you just turn this on the side here, on the front, and this will all go back down. There you go. Maximum lifting height, 34 inches. And minimum lifting height, 8.6 inches. So I guess that means, here, let's just find out. Jack this all the way up till it stops. Probably switch to high speed at this section. Oh, look, now we're into the second stage of the Ram. I feel like this is a lot more than 36 inches. Or 34 inches. There you go. So, from the bottom of the base to the top, 42 inches. Well, that's pretty good, I think. Like if you have a vehicle and you need to jack the whole vehicle up and put stuff underneath the suspension, this would lift the bump, or lift your rock sliders, or lift your bumper, and then you could still get stuff underneath the axle. And then to lower it down, you just turn this counterclockwise. You have to put a little pressure on it. It is pressurized vacuum. Let's see, what was the description? It is a vacuum oil system, and So that means that you don't have to use it vertical. You could use this like inside if you had to push, I don't know, some tubes apart, or like use it in a non-vertical situation, which you could do that with a high lift jack, but this is definitely a smaller, more compact system. You could drop this down. You could take it off of this. This part's a little bit annoying to me. I feel like the pin could be beefier, like the lanyard system. Or you could have like those pins that kind of compress. I don't know. I feel like this is the only complaint I have with it, is that this kind of pin thing seems like you could lose it. Maybe there's a better way to store it. And then if we unscrew it from the base, like you can get it down to that height, or if you pull this pin out completely and drop it all the way down, you're basically looking at 10 3/4 to about 12 inches. If you took this out and you just did it right on there, it'd be about 10 3/4 from the top of that to the bottom of the PMP. I keep wanting to say PIMP. 50 Cent probably show up and be like, you can't use that. I don't know about this part. Rotary joint to get off base. Balanced base with universal base with balanced fulcrum. So I don't know if this extends or if it just wiggles around. I think it just wiggles around. It would be nice to have that base on the bottom. That's why I wonder if this unscrews somehow. If it does, I can't figure it out. It looks like there's like a blue anodized piece right here, which makes me think it should come apart, but it doesn't seem to want to. Does this pull out? No. I'm basically learning as I'm explaining it and showing it to you guys, because that's what they wanted me to do. They said, hey, check it out, tell us what you think. So I like this because it's small and compact, and you could put it underneath your axle tube. I guess you could set that right on there. That could still work as the base for just the bottle jack. And then if you want to put it, like, actually, let's move this table and we'll put it right underneath the bumper. Throw the base down there. All right, screw in our 360-degree fulcrum base right on here. Stick that on the plastic base, and then we can slide this guy up to this tube on the bumper. Let's see, is this down all the way? Double check. That is down all the way. Yes. So we'll tighten that back up. Slide this up. And, oh, yeah. All right. So we're on the second hole at this back tube on the bumper, and that is sitting at 25, basically 25.5 inches. I'm going to chock the wheel. Throw this guy in here. I like how this thing all pivots around. It's all nice and smooth. Again, the lanyard thing is kind of in the way, but it seems to be doing its job. It just seems kind of light duty. But all of this comes in a bag, so it seems like you could have it all in the bag. Maybe, you know what I would want is maybe like a pin with like a snap on it so that it would stay with that extension. That would be, but it has to be a strong enough pin that it doesn't shear when it has the weight of the vehicle on it, because it's actually right between the ram of the jack and the extension. All right, now we're going to the second stage. I don't know if you can see, but there is like a little bit of a lean of the jack, but it seems to still be pretty stable. And the tire is off the ground. So it's called the PMP multi-purpose jack. You can get it from OK Four-Wheel Drive. They sent it to me. It's not a paid promotion, but I like it. I think it's pretty neat. There's a lot of different jacks out there, as we've obviously seen. And there's more jacks that I have not talked about. More expensive ones, cheaper ones, lots of different variety. These are some ones that I use. This is one that I will now be taking with me because I think it's pretty neat. And you should leave in the comments if there's any ones that I missed or ones that you think are the best ones that I should have. Feel free to make comments about why you love or hate any of the other ones I've shown you. The bottle jack that I showed you originally that I usually carry in this, I do know that there are different sizes of those. I just had that one because it fit in the Jeep, but it probably doesn't make sense to put it back in, especially when something like this is available. And this is obviously going to have more variety of uses than a little bottle jack. Bottle jacks are great on kind of normal vehicles, but I think for off-road stuff, you always have to find something that fits how you store it, because that's another thing. Jacks are kind of big, heavy chunks of metal, and if you're ever in an accident situation, rollover, you want to make sure that this thing doesn't go flying, which is also true for all of the other jacks, like a rolling floor jack, a high lift jack, a bottle jack. Any of those things can be pretty dangerous if they turn into a projectile off-road. I think that's, oh no, I think it's going to keep going. I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty stoked on this thing. PMP jack, multi-purpose jack. Find it at OK Four-Wheel Drive. That's it for this Dirt Daily. Oh, cut my head off. That's it for this Dirt Daily. We'll see you guys next time. Wait, I forgot some important information. Everything fits in this little bag, which is handy. I guess the plastic base doesn't fit in that bag. I mean, it goes in there, but it doesn't all. Plastic base has to live somewhere else in your rig. But all of the PMP jack and extensions all fit in here, as well as the hooks. Two important pieces of information. The description says it is applicable to vehicles weighing less than 4 tons. I mean, I'm assuming that means it will lift 7,999 pounds. So just shy of 4 tons. I don't know why that doesn't just have like a flat rating. And also, the PMP jack is available in 2 different styles, a red one and a blue one. And $329 or $349. This one is the $349 kit. So, price, expensive, more than some, not as expensive as some other ones, but I think that's pretty neat. All right, that's it for this Dirt Daily. We'll see you guys next time. Now I gotta find a spot in the Jeep for this.